In Pokémon Legends Arceus, we were all surprised, and I mean old-time Pokémon, no dumb leaks and leakers surprised, when we saw Ingo appearing in Hisui. That was completely out of nowhere, and it raised all kinds of questions that were never really answered. He was there, he was a warden, and man, it was sad imagining how Emmet must have felt. But now, after all this time, it got me wondering if Pokémon Legends ZA could go the same route. So hey, I'm not so ace trainer, and who could return in Pokémon Legends ZA? Let's get into it. First, we gotta talk about why Ingo was there. While we were taken to the past due to Arceus' power, Ingo appears to have been pulled through a space-time distortion, with no divine intervention at all. The space-time distortion on top of Mount Coronet was caused by Giratina and Volo, and the rest of them were likely a result of that one as well, even if not directly caused by the Distortion World Pokémon. This made sense in a game focusing on space and time, the power associated with Palkia and Dialga respectively. In Pokémon Legends ZA, I am not sure we'll see these concepts explored once more, as life and death are more the thing for the Colossian legendaries of Xerneas and Yveltal. ZA also implies the concept of rebirth, from the end to the beginning, as does the redevelopment plan happening in Lumiose City. So, any characters returning from the present will have to be pulled through other means. Of course, there could also be the regular return of a character we had in Pokémon Legends Arceus, for example, and if that was the case, the best bet would be Volo. He did swear to have his plans be fulfilled eventually, but I do believe that it might just be a way of connecting Volo's obsession with Cyrus's obsession. His goals do not seem to align with any possible plot that comes from a game that happens inside a single city. Because of this, to me, it doesn't make sense that he becomes a returning character in this game. Maybe in a future game focusing on Arceus again, a Sinjo game, but not in Kalos. While not in Pokémon Legends Arceus, there's also a big chance we are finally introduced to Heath. Kalos and Paldea are very close to each other, and the current time frame of Legends ZA points to the Osman renovation of Paris, something that happened around 150 years ago. With a margin of error of a few decades, as Pokémon's timeline is never a one-to-one thing with the real world, this goes very well with Heath's journey into the Great Crater of Paldea. He would have published or been close to publishing his Scarlet and Violet books, and it could even be where he sees Mega Pokémon like Mega Salamence and Mega Gardevoir, maybe even Mega Gallade, Pokémon that are connected to some of the Paradox Pokémon that he saw in Area Zero, depending on your version. This would be if there was no strange event happening, but I cannot see that being the case. This is Pokémon after all, so something strange must be going on. So let's go back to that thing about characters being pulled through something that wasn't a space-time distortion. In Pokémon X and Y, while we lacked in new legendary Pokémon, something that might change in Legends ZA, check out these videos for more information, we had 3 mythical Pokémon, Volcanion, Diancie and Hoopa, and it's in the latter that we have to focus. Hoopa, my favorite mythical Pokémon, has 2 different forms, Hoopa Confined and Hoopa Unbound. This Pokémon is capable of moving things through its rings, and in some Pokémon media it is said to be able to move them through timelines or even bend dimensions. This could be explored in Pokémon Legends ZA as a way to have distortion-like events as we had in Pokémon Legends Arceus, and it could also be a great way to bring people from the present to the past. But if that was the case, who could be returning their way? The first one will be a bit of a cheat, and that's Mewtwo. I know it is a Pokémon and not a character, but come on, Mewtwo is basically a character at this point in time. We need an explanation for why Mewtwo has 2 Mega Evolutions when he was only created a few years ago. And having Hoopa bring him to old Lumiose is the only way I can see this being explained. A Pokémon that didn't exist shouldn't have anything like that, unless it is because of its connection to Mew, and even then, Mew should have 1 Mega Evolution as well then. But now on to actual humans, and for that I have 3 options. The first one is Emmet, Ingo's brother. They were always together, and so if something affected Ingo, it might have affected Emmet as well. In this case, it wouldn't be Hoopa doing something, it would still be the space-time distortions, and because of that, I believe this is the least likely of all. But there's more. Next we have my favorite character in the series, and that's Lucar. Lucar is clearly someone that has traveled a lot, and after witnessing him falling from somewhere without any memories in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I feel it is very likely that he might have had contact with various kinds of quote-unquote portals to other places. We know this to be the case regarding Ultra Wormholes with the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon plot, but I wouldn't be surprised if the same happened with Hoopa Rings, given how we find him in Auras, a game that happens before the Alola games, which means that when he fell there, he wasn't falling from a Ultra Wormhole, but likely from a Hoopa Ring. I would not be surprised to find our detective friend in Lumio City, unaware of who or where he is. But just like Ingo never really forgot how to battle, he wouldn't have forgotten how to use his skills to investigate whatever was going on. But now, what if instead of a good guy, we got a bad guy? At the end of Pokémon X and Y, Lysandre is exposed to the ultimate weapon in a way that not many were, though the whole secret lab crumbles on top of him, leaving him buried in the rubble. We never found out if he was alive or dead, but with Pokémon Legends ZA possibly exploring these concepts, could Lysandre have survived and tried to find a way to go back in time and actually make his plans easier to achieve? For example, he is called the Visionary in Pokémon media, and the trailer shows us exactly that, someone from the past imagining the Lumio City of the present, almost as if they've seen it already or if they can imagine what the future would be. But what if it is really the former? What if they truly have seen it already? Could Lysandre have traveled back in time and used this knowledge to stay on top of the food chain, recreating the same city he knew in order to know all of its secrets? In modern Lumios, we never explored the sewers or underground, they aren't even talked about, but Lysandre has knowledge about them as Lysandre Labs exists exactly there. But the truth is, it's impossible to know exactly who will or even if someone will be returning from the present to the past, but just like different starters and new legendaries, I wouldn't be surprised to see this become a trend in Pokémon Legends games, just like the various ancestors we find, as a way to continue to use the power of nostalgia to keep us hooked on every new Pokémon game. For now though, my bets are on Heath, Mewtwo and Lysandre. And that is all I have for you today. These are the characters that I believe have the best chance of returning in Pokémon Legends ZA. But what about you? Do you believe any characters will return? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, you can become a channel member or check out my merch in order to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.